Welcome to episode 99 of the RXP podcast, where a group of working professionals talk about the games, movies, and shows they love to enjoy in their free time. I'm your host today, Alex, and joining me, as always, are my co-hosts, Matt.
Tiffany, who's in fourth place?
Oh my god. We're not even talking about that this episode.
Tiffany?
You heard me. Why did you even bring that up?
You heard her.
You know what? Just for
You
that, that's
heard
gonna be episode 100. We're gonna do the topic that
No,
Alex hates the most. We're gonna force him to
not even
listen
gonna
to us
show
talk
up.
about it in person.
He's not going to show up. We're all going to be sitting at my house, and Alex is just like never coming. Oh, yeah, I'm almost there, guys.
Sir.
99, guys. Episode 99. Come so far.
Crazy.
Yeah, 99 episodes uploaded to Podbean.
Even more than 99 because we have peer reviews.
True.
And
Oh, that's true.
take one down and pass it around. And
I think
we go down to 98.
The thumbnail for this one is just going to be one of those Arizona iced teas that will remain at 99 cents.
99 cents
forever.
until, yes.
And no one's going to understand that thumbnail unless they listen to the first 1 minute and 20 seconds of this podcast.
And then that's when we got them, because that's when they're
Yeah,
going to keep on listening, Matt. You know it. Great. I love the clickbait thumbnails.
Yeah, because
Love
the
it.
99 cent Arizona iced tea is never going to change. But you know what does change?
Podcast episode numbers.
Pepto-Bismol.
Not Costco cost either. You know, those hot dog costs,
The
steady.
Costco hot dog.
No, that's not going to change. We know that's not.
Costco membership prices.
I was literally lining this up,
What did you line
For
up? Sorry,
Alex.
what was
and
it?
he didn't even do it. The whole topic of this dumb episode.
I love nuking segues, you know.
This is the most chaotic opening we've probably had in 99 episodes.
You're not wrong.
99
gosh.
plus, you know. As Tiffany mentioned, we have all those peer reviews too. So check it out on the other playlist if you so desire, listeners. But with that, let's backtrack a little bit. Let's reel it in before we let loose again. So today's topic, we're talking about, taste. And no, I'm not talking about like food. I'm talking about, our interests, right? Like our taste in entertainment. And mostly this is coming up because as of recording, we are pre-Deadpool and Wolverine. By the time you listen to this, it'll be post-Deadpool and Wolverine, so obviously things will be very different. But in preparation for this upcoming movie, Matt let us know here in the group that he went back and watched Deadpool 1 again. And Matt, I want to know what were your thoughts? I heard a little bit before I joined the call before we started recording, but it seemed like it wasn't the best revisit.
Yeah, so here's the thing. When, Manny and I are sitting down, we're like, we should watch Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2. I think I've seen Deadpool 1 twice only. I know I've only seen Deadpool 2 one time. I only watched it in the theaters when it came out. So I was like, this is a great opportunity. We're going to watch these movies. We're going to love these movies because I don't remember exactly what happens in either of them except for like key moments. But I was like, these are, in my mind, 9 or 10 out of 10 movies. Like I've always seen them as like the standard for what a superhero movie could be.
Mm-hmm.
Then I watched Deadpool 1 and I was like, that was good. Like a solid 7 out of 10. And like that seems almost damning when I say it like that, but I don't know. It just didn't feel like it hit as much, which this came out in 2016. Tiffany and I were talking about it. Like I was still in school. Like I was a way different person. Maybe I've become more cynical. Maybe I've like lost all my humor in the past 8 years.
Yeah, you're married now. You have a child.
A child dog.
A fur
That's
baby.
right. A fur baby. And my humor just gone. So I don't know. I don't know what changed, but it just didn't hit the same way, which makes me, I'll be honest, it makes me a little bit nervous about tomorrow when we're watching Deadpool and Wolverine because I really, really, really want to get back into the MCU, and I want this to be the reason to get back into it.
Did you actually think Deadpool 1 just wasn't funny? Or like what were like I don't think toilet humor is ever funny. Like
Right.
when someone's like throwing up or pooping their pants, like that Bridesmaids with that bathroom scene, like I'm never
That scene
okay
is
with that.
hilarious, but
No,
right.
no, Matt. But like, yeah, what was
Come on,
like,
when she's on the sink and she's like,
no,
look away, look away.
no, that's not funny.
That's a great moment.
No, it's not. And you said Deadpool didn't hit, and you're telling me that bathroom scene in
That's true.
Bridesmaids.
That's you got me.
Well, Matt hasn't rewatched Bridesmaids recently.
True.
You know,
That's
he has
true.
to-
That
to
is
go back.
actually really true. I feel like I'm also like I'm very optimistic about the movies that I've seen in the past, and I probably put a more positive light on things that I've watched in the past, maybe than I
Nostalgia.
should. Right. Which is why when any game that was released from my childhood, I buy it right away. Which is why, like, I just played Thousand Year Door and Sly Cooper 1. Like, I can't help myself. Nostalgia always wins.
Yeah. So you brought this up pre-podcast, and I felt like one of the initial reactions I had was like, where did you watch it? And like, what were the circumstances, right? Because especially with comedies, in my opinion, I do feel like sometimes who you're with and like the amount of people you're with kind of changes the atmosphere of a comedy.
Right.
Where you have like a group of people laughing at a specific joke, even if you don't necessarily find it funny, it just becomes funnier in my experience.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, just like comedies in general, jokes typically hit better the first time you hear them versus when you heard them the second or third or fourth time, if you know what I mean. So that's why like I don't necessarily watch stand-ups again if I remember like half the content, you know what I mean? But as I like started to think about it more, I do think you make a good point as far as I think comedies in specific, it is pretty natural to like kind of shift your preferences in comedy. Like for example, I used to like love Family Guy when I was growing up in like middle school, high school. I'd watch Family Guy, and now I don't feel like I'd like Family Guy rewatching it, even though I'd probably still find it pretty funny. It wouldn't be something that I would like want to watch consistently because it's just a different type of humor that I've kind of grown out of. So I think that is definitely part of it, and I think that's kind of what you're saying, right?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Like I don't know. I felt like I saw through the cracks of it. Like it's very quippy, it's very fun. I still found it to be like a complete nonsense fun time to be had, but in my mind I'm like, wow, that last act was kind of weak. Like the villain kind of weak. Like, why does he keep asking, "Hey, what's my name?" It's like he's told you your name is Francis about 10 times.
Yeah.
Like he knows what your name is. All right. Like, I don't know. I found myself kind of like wearing thin with it towards the end. But yeah, like maybe it is just a comedy thing. I don't know.
Is this also a byproduct of, Matt, you watch a lot of movies recently, right?
True.
Especially with your goals and everything. Do you think, is it just a byproduct of being just more like keen-eyed on these things, like having seen so much more and kind of going through a bunch of different stuff? Like, are you just like more critical of things now, just from like a movie perspective? And it's not just necessarily the genre.
This is interesting because like this is something that I'm wrestling with myself because I find like I'm appreciating movies more because I've like watched 80 some movies this year at this point. I'm appreciating movies more, but I feel like I'm enjoying bad movies less. And I don't know how to say that without like just being completely pretentious, but it's like I've watched a lot of really good movies, and then when I watch a movie from my childhood, I'm just like, oh no, like oh no, I'm not enjoying this as much as I used to. Which Maddie and I, we are planning to do like a double feature from our childhood, where we're basically going to watch like a cartoon that both of us grew up on. The one that I want to watch is from like the late 80s called Rock-a-Doodle. Have you guys watched this? Heard this
Absolutely.
Never
Alex
heard
and I
of it.
have that ish on VHS.
before? I
It's with
Love-
Chanticleer, right?
love that movie. I have
Chanticleer
not
has to
seen
save
that
the
movie.
farm.
I have not seen that movie in like 25 years, realistically. Maybe 20 years. I watched that movie all the time between like 0 and 5 years old. Like I was all about that movie. And I like added it to my Letterboxd watch list, and I'm like, oh no, it's like a 2.1. Oh no, I don't know if I'm ready for this.
Alex, do you remember that movie?
I remember the name. I don't remember what happens in it though.
There's like a rainstorm at one point,
Yes.
and they need Chanticleer. The name Chanticleer has been like emboldened in my mind from that movie, because it's such a strange or unique name. But I mean, Matt, that's a little bit dangerous territory, mainly because it is a movie meant for children, and we're not
True.
talking about like Pixar movies that are like for children, but also for adults, or Shrek for that matter.
Inside Out 2. Oh.
Yeah. So, and then Yasser saying that, I mean, I think I understand the concept of growing out of certain types of humor. But when I think something's funny, I will literally watch it over and over. So
Yeah.
and it doesn't help that Instagram reels or TikTok vids will just like auto replay. Cause I'm like watching this clip and then it's hysterical, and then it just it like loops back, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch it again because I laughed so hard, and I watch it again. I'm like, and then I'm like, yeah, that still slaps, and I'm like laughing again, and then it does it one more time as I'm sending it to someone else, and then they don't see it till later in the day, right? Because they're like responsible adults, and then at like 9 p.m. I'm getting a LOL on my reel, and I will literally click on it again and watch it again and laugh.
He's single-handedly giving these things like 10 views a piece.
Yeah, and I'm like sending to people, I'm like reposting it. So like I think with humor, I do understand, like obviously, like I said, toilet humor, not funny. When I was 8 years old, might have been funny. I don't know. Or I was just afraid of poop in general, so I would never thought that was funny. It was not a laughing matter.
Wait.
But like
That's
You're
laughing
afraid
right
of poop?
yeah, or just other people's poop. Like I'm afraid of other people's
Your
poop.
parents just like hear screaming in the bathroom. They're like, "Don't worry, Tiffany's all right."
But yeah, I think that, there are some things that don't hit. And I also rewatched Deadpool 1 and 2. And I agree with some bit of nostalgia. Deadpool 1, I would agree. I think back then I would have given it a 10 out of 10. But this time I gave it an 8.
Oh, you rewatched it
And
recently too. Okay.
I did. I rewatched it in preparations for Deadpool and Wolverine.
I see.
The second one I liked a lot better. I know Matt didn't get a chance to watch that one, but also I remember that movie a little bit differently in that I thought Cable showed up like way earlier than he actually did. I was like, we were like, I don't know, half an hour into the movie, and I was like, where's Cable? You know what I mean?
It's
And
like
then
halfway in the movie, right?
Yeah, it was like, but I swear I was like, wasn't Cable in there from the beginning? Like, what's this plot like otherwise? But yeah, I think I definitely put those movies on a pedestal, I think.
So I have a couple thoughts. You mentioned the whole TikTok thing, and I totally agree with you. Like, I think I'm in the same boat as you. But have you ever watched a clip like a week later and been like, oh, this is pretty funny, but I can't believe I was like dying laughing last week watching this? Have you ever had that situation? Or
Yes,
Yeah.
it's so funny. You know
She's
why?
reliving it right now.
Yeah, it's because so something has happened with Instagram where it won't let. I used to force the creme de la creme. Okay, Yasser. When it's the creme de la creme of Instagram reel, I would try to make Alex watch it. I would send him an Instagram link, and he doesn't have an Instagram. It's gotten to the point where he could kind of click past it and watch it, and he's just like, okay, that was whatever. But he now actually can't even watch it. So
Yeah,
then
it
it's
has
like,
to sign in first.
yeah. So then,
Yikes.
Yasser, I'm straight up like, I'm like hoarding some videos, like I'm clicking save, and then when I see
my
Alex
gosh.
in person,
Watch this
I'm like,
video.
Alex, I gotta show you this video. I gotta show you
Does
this video.
does Instagram have the feature to show you like who saved a video? Like, can you see that to be like, oh, this person saved it?
I don't know if I can see other people's saves, but when you
Okay.
save a video, you can save it to like an album or something, and so I just have like, I save very few videos, but if it's something that I know that I desperately want to show Alex, I will save it and then show it to him, and I'm laughing. He's just like, He's just like, okay. I mean, some of them he does find funny.
Uh-huh.
He does find some of them funny, but definitely less so than I do.
You know, her For You page and my theoretical For You page are very different.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I'm literally laughing at like the videos I try to show him, and he's like, "This ain't it, Chief." and I'm over here like shaking. My hand is shaking because I'm laughing, and he's just like not even able to watch it. So I guess that's just me. I don't know. I need joy in my life, you know.
I respect that. I personally did not rewatch either of the two Deadpool movies beforehand, even though I plan to watch this new one that's coming in. Mainly because like Deadpool movies to me, like the plots really don't matter. It's more just like enjoying your time with the movie, and I really couldn't care less what happened in the first two movies, and I don't remember anything that happened in the first two movies in general. But beyond that, another thing that I thought of is like, for me at least personally, I feel like I have to be in the mood for a specific type of comedy too. And I am curious, Matt, if you feel like that contributed at all. Like maybe you weren't necessarily in the mood to watch Deadpool, but you wanted to just because it was coming up, and then as a result, maybe that affected how you saw the movie. I feel like that for me would definitely affect me. But I'm curious what you think about that.
I've definitely been to that point where I'm like forcing myself, like especially right around like the 30th or 31st of the month when I know something is leaving streaming and it's like, crap,
Yeah.
this has been on my watch list for 6 months and I gotta watch it right now.
Yeah.
I could see that. We planned this like weeks ago. We're like, we need to watch this, but let's watch it like when we want like something light. So we were going into it, and actually Maddie enjoyed it a lot more than I did.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so like she was laughing, we were both laughing, but so it felt good.
Yeah.
It was just, you know, maybe I was just being more and more hard on it, and maybe part of it is that too. Like movie critics, it's like the worst movie critic podcast to listen to is when they're reviewing like a Pixar movie or a Disney movie. And it's like they're destroying this. And they're like, I also watched this with my 5-year-old, and my 5-year-old says it's a 10 out of 10. Like, it's
like that's the opinion.
maybe
that
it's just
matters
not for
sometimes.
you.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just not for you. But I enjoy it. I will watch Deadpool 2. It's not going to be before Deadpool 3. But I'm excited to kind of see how that comes. Because I remember liking Josh Brolin because I like him in everything he's in. So I'm assuming he's a better villain, and maybe that will help out. I remember liking Deadpool 2 better than Deadpool, so we'll see.
I think with Deadpool 2, though, they went harder in on the references, and that's what we wanted. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like we want the cameos, we want the nods, so they went a little bit harder on it, and I was super into it. It was so good. I mean, there's still bangers in there, like line-wise. I was also thinking about, you were mentioning how maybe comedy movies aren't your jam anymore. But, like, I feel like they're just also rare. Like, you said you still like rom-coms, but, like, there's so few rom-coms. Like, the last rom-com I can really say that I loved and enjoyed and that came out recently is The Lost City with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum. And that was actually even a remake, apparently. Like, that was a remake of an older movie. I didn't know that when I watched it, but I saw that movie in theaters, and I had a great time. And I even rewatched it again when it was on streaming, because I watched it with people that hadn't seen it yet. And, I mean, I really liked it. They thought it was pretty good. So I wonder if it's just the lack of supply with some of the movies, especially, nowadays. Well, I guess, you know what, Matt? They do a lot of straight to streaming rom-coms.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And
that's where rom-coms have gone and have gone to die.
Like the Hallmark movie?
Not necessarily. Like,
no, it's basically just whatever Glenn Powell's doing, they'll put it on streaming. Besides Twisters, like Anyone But You came out at the end of last year.
Oh,
you
yeah,
really liked it.
I did really like that one.
Yeah, and I thought it was garbage. Like, it was bad. It was so bad. I gave it a 2 out of 5.
You gave that movie a 2 out of 5?
Yeah, because
I was gonna say 2 out of 10.
yeah, no, not that bad.
Just like Rockadoodle.
Yeah,
God,
just right next to Rockadoodle. It's just because I this is going to be a take.
A hot take?
Maybe.
Go for it.
I don't think Sydney Sweeney is a good actress.
Interesting.
I think
I don't
she
think that's a
needs to
hot
get
take.
there. Like I watched
That's
her
fine.
other movie.
Madame Web.
Oh, I still haven't
yeah.
seen that.
Yeah, I still haven't seen that. She was in this movie called Reality, which I actually thought she did really well. Like I thought she did fine. And but Anyone But You was real bad. It was just like super tropey. But then I watched another
Yeah.
Glenn Powell movie called Hitman that came out this year. Have you
yeah.
guys
Yes.
watched that or seen anything
Not-
about that?
It
not
looked
yet.
funny.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. Like I thought it was good. Like
Yeah.
okay to good. I think I may have given it a
Okay,
3,
good,
maybe a 3.5 out of 5. Like, but it was better than
Yeah.
majority of them.
So let me ask you, just
that a
as
rom-com?
a small tangent here. Oh yeah, go ahead. Answer that question first. Is it a rom com?
I think it would be. I think it would be considered a rom com.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Sydney Sweeney. Just ask this question real quick. Her like claim to fame is Euphoria. That's where
Right.
she's like what she's known for, what she had her best
Oh.
performance in, most likely.
Oh, I
I
didn't
haven't
know
really
that.
seen much of her other stuff personally, but I thought she was great in Euphoria. So
Yeah.
I'm curious, have you seen any of that?
I have not.
Okay.
And
neither.
honestly, everything that I've heard about it, I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch that. Just because it's like I've heard it's
not
super
for
dark, and
everybody.
it's like I want to
It's
escape
hella dark.
some of it.
And it's also hella inappropriate. So
Gotcha.
yeah, not
Um,
something you watch with your parents. I'll just say it that way.
Got it. Yeah. Honestly, I think that maybe the more dramatic part, because Reality is pretty dramatic. It's based on the true story of like the person that was the whistleblower in the FBI, and basically they find out, and the FBI is like questioning her in her house, and it's like very like one shot. She's really compelling in that movie. So maybe she's just not like more of like that.
Some of the material,
I'm
yeah,
fun,
Or that
person.
too,
Because
yeah.
maybe she's not fun. I don't
Very
know.
dry. And
Yeah,
serious.
she's not.
that is fair.
You know, so would you guys? So okay, if we're adults and we don't think children movies are it, even though people are saying Bluey is like amazing even for adult, like people like I know so many adults that love this cartoon called Bluey that's meant for children and that they can just throw on for children. Do you think that's considered changing like just a normal way of life versus like actively changing tastes on that? Like I'm reflecting back in all the young adult books I used to read, and I'm not gonna lie, I've had the prequel to the Hunger Games in my to be read list for literally 2 years, like since the day it was published. I've bought the book, and I have not had the what is it, like the fortitude, or like I've not been interested in literally just like
motivation.
the motivation. Yeah, I literally couldn't come up with the word motivation to pick it up, because I'm not. But part of me doesn't want to pick it up because I imagine it's gonna be that geared towards the young adult like level, and I've actually kind of moved past that a little bit. Like, for example, there was an interview that I remember doing a couple like for work, a job interview, right? Or residency interview. And this girl straight up told me, like, we somehow talked about Marvel characters, and I asked her who her favorite Spider-Man was, and she said it was Tobey Maguire. Or not Tobey Maguire, sorry. She said Andrew Garfield. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I love Tobey Maguire. And this was only
That's a
a couple
hot
years
take.
ago. And she straight up was like, this was a couple years ago, so there were
That's
literally
why she didn't get hired.
the three. Yeah, that's why I didn't pick her. The 3 Spider-Men, and the reason when I said I love Tom Holland's Spider-Man, she straight up was like, "Oh, but he's like too young. He's like I'm not in high school anymore." And I was like,
I feel so
what?
confused by that take, just because like Spider-Man's supposed to be young in a
high
lot of
school,
his comics.
yeah. Yeah. But I thought that was an interesting. At the time, I was like, "Well, you're crazy." And now I like find myself like even kind of gearing away from those types of books that are trying to hit that level. I don't know if I had a question in here.
I mean, I look at it as, it's like the allegory type thing where obviously, if things are trying to be more elevated, right, they kind of have like stories on two different levels. And for me, I feel like the enjoyment, I'm in a similar boat with you, right, with the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, in that, obviously the actual story won't be as meaningful to me as anymore, right? Being older, not being able to kind of resonate with it. But then now having like read more and just being at a different place, like for me, I feel like my taste and enjoyment of it in particular is not necessarily going to be, I guess, the events of the story, but kind of go back and kind of looking at the construction of like, okay, as a book, can I enjoy this, right? And so it's I can still enjoy the book as as a function that it is a story, right? But then it's also not just saying, okay, it's these particular characters and it's this kind of journey, right, which is probably very archetypal, right, of having the kind of the hero's journey that's been done for thousands of years at this point. But then kind of looking at it and being like, well, how does Suzanne Collins write it? Can I understand and do I enjoy her type of writing, and is there kind of like another level to it to be like, well, based on how she likes to develop characters and how she likes to kind of frame like key points in the novel, is this something that I enjoy now, right? And so I've kind of like pivoted my taste to say, well, I don't want to bash it because it's just like, right, about another teenage character, living through teenage struggles, right? Obviously this is a post-apocalyptic world, so it's like these are struggles that we don't know of, right? These are all made up.
Yeah.
But I don't have to worry about that because I'm not concerned with whether or not that's good, right? Because it's something I know, right? Not to say it's a stereotype, but I kind of know the facets of it. And it's more so I'm going to start worrying about, can I enjoy like the writing, right? Like, is this, it's, the type of show, not tell type of thing, right? Like, is she doing a good job kind of subliminally, I guess, getting me to enjoy this without being too, I guess, heavy handed in kind of relaying the message? And I just take it from that other perspective because, honestly, like for me, and this is my biggest worry of changing taste, Kingdom Hearts 4 is in development, and I don't want to, bring up any major worries, but it is that thing, right? Like this franchise started in 2002. And by the time, KH4 comes out, right, it's going to be probably 2026 at the earliest, maybe next year, if Square Enix wants to surprise us. But this is going to be, nigh on a quarter of a century later from when it first released. Will I still enjoy it? And I feel like it's coming from that perspective, right? Like when you got it for us, when we first got our PS2, you liked it for the Disney characters, right? You're like, oh man, look, it's my favorite Disney characters. Playable in a video game isn't that great. But then now when you look at it, it's like, okay, so the Disney gimmick has worn off, right? We've gone through.
No, it hasn't.
Now, like, well, we've gone through like 10 games of Kingdom Hearts at this point. Is it still going to pull you in just based on the sheer fact, or are you going to be more critical of like, is this a good game, right? Like, do you have fun playing the game? And I think that's my biggest concern of looking at it, to be like, well, there's so many great games out there, but can I honestly call this like a 10 out of 10 when I've probably and more than likely have played better games than it, right? Like that's going to be my biggest concern.
I feel like I'm one of those crotchety millennials that is okay with the same thing. Or like or like my personality has frozen in time, literally, and I've like aged, but like mentally I'm still like 22 years old. I've literally age catfished a lot of my new coworkers because we talk through Teams, we've never met in person, and they think I'm like 25 years old, like legit. That when they figure out how old I am, they're just like confused. But I think that like Kingdom Hearts, they're going to come out with number 4. They're going to add a Star Wars planet. They're going to add they're going to add an Inside Out planet. And I'm just going to be like, I love this. Like, I feel that. And I know that this is also very different from Alex's point of view, not to put words in his mouth, but I know how frustrated he is with the Pokemon franchise. And honestly, I'm okay with it being the same. I'm like, I mean, granted, there's some quality of life improvements that I really appreciate, like being able to like access my Pokemon storage unit on my person. Great. The fact that I can like, I have 4 moves, right? But like now I can like kind of swap them in and out if I a
Relearn.
little bit more easier. Yeah, relearn and stuff. So like there are things that make it a little bit better, but I'm also like not mad at like 4 gyms or not 4 gyms. 8 gyms. Collect the ones that you want. Make a team. Fight in
They
this
ain't broke.
area. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So I feel like I'm just gonna be like, there's a Disney character. I'm in for Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, I think I can relate to that honestly, in the sense that I don't feel like my the things that I like really change from now to when I was like 15 or whatever. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like Family Guy is just like one of those things where like it got a little old, but like in general, I don't feel like what I like now is different than what I liked before. And I guess that can be a good thing, but also can be a bad thing depending on like how you look at it, because the more you change, the more you get to experience different things, in my opinion. So it's not a bad thing to necessarily not like something you liked before, because it's really just going to introduce you to more things that you didn't try in the past. But for me, I feel like I still love like dumb comedies. Like I had to go through my letterbox because I didn't remember right away. But the most recent ones were late last year, and I watched Violent Night, which is like this like goofy Christmas movie.
The Santa?
Yeah.
Was that with
With
the Harbor
David
guy?
Hopper.
David Harbor.
Yeah, basically,
Yeah,
David
Harbor.
Hopper is playing Santa Claus, and then the one right before that I watched was Cocaine Bear, which I also thought was hilarious.
Wait a minute. Okay, so what did you rate those though?
Both of those I rated 4 out of 5.
Oh, dang.
I thought they were good times.
Okay.
And I think like when I was reading through some of the reviews on Letterboxd, I feel like this happens with comedies a lot, where they like review comedies like they're supposed to be Shakespearean, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like they're supposed to have like some deeper meaning. When to me, like comedies, like what I want out of them at the very least is to be laughing and to have a good time. That's really all I'm looking for. I don't care about like the plot being like really intriguing or like keeps me guessing. I just want to have a good time. And those 2 movies for me, I had a great time. Even if they were like simple to a fault and maybe even repetitive in some of the plot machinations that they had. But that doesn't bother me as long as I'm having a good time. So that's kind of my take and the way that I kind of approach it.
Have you guys ever like given something another shot? Like you experienced it the first time and then you were like, okay, maybe that wasn't it.
Yeah.
Let me try it again.
Well, the first
and then
thing
like it.
that comes to mind was when I watched Fury Road again, because we talked about that before, Furiosa, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like, sometimes it's just like not the right time that you watch something, and then the next time you watch it, you love it. And I think vice versa can also be true, where you really like connect with something because of a certain time in your life, and then you watch it again, you're like, oh, I mean, it was okay, but like it wasn't as good as I remembered or as good as I rated it before. So I definitely can relate to both of those kind of situations. How about you guys?
Yeah, I feel like I rewatch things kind of like all the time, where it's like my opinion changes one way or another. Like I don't know if I really ever stay the same on something,
really?
Unless I think it's a masterpiece, and then it's still a masterpiece. Like if it meets 10 out of 10, I doubt I've ever rated something 10 out of 10 and it's lost that. But I feel like everything else it does change in my mind.
That's interesting.
Like, I don't know. I feel like even because you're always going to be basing this now on your life and
exactly.
your experiences, and that's the benefit of some of these other genres like drama, or even just like even more of like an action or adventure things. Like it might be easier for them to pull out your own experiences to than just straight up comedy. Like comedy may not have those strings to pull on your own life experience to where maybe it's not going to be as beneficial to rewatch it again. So maybe it is just a genre thing all in all. But yeah, I recently just replayed Thousand Year Door, and man, it's one of those things where I definitely saw the age, and I could appreciate speaking to me through my Mac. I'm sorry.
I was like, he can't. He's speechless because he's
I
so
must have
Siri
said-
upset.
appreciates
I
you.
must have said something that's close to it, but then it started speaking to me, and I lost all train of thought. Thousand Year Door. Let's just take that back. Thousand Year Door.
He's still here. He's still
Was-
present, guys. Don't leave.
Still here.
He disassociated.
I did. Was a good time, but I definitely saw things that now, 20 years of like quality of life improvements where it's like, man, the gaming sphere has moved on. Like we have made better X, Y, and Z. We have done this better. Like even playing something like College Football 25, like it still feels like an old game. Like we've waited 13 years for a new college football game. Like there's still some things from 13 years ago that's still there. Like, why can't I skip a cutscene? Like that, that's like unforgivable in 2024. in my
Watch the
opinion.
cutscene, Matt. You gotta
It's
watch
like,
it.
watch
The story's
this-
important.
These low res players run down this hill every game for the rest of your life, and it's like
It builds character.
Guess I've got to watch these people. Have you guys? I don't know because I'm definitely the nostalgic person that's like I will buy a remaster of any game that I loved as a kid and play it immediately. And new games be damned, I will play these old games first. Do you guys play a lot of games, like replay them, and does your opinion change like when you do it?
Alex like doesn't ever.
No, I mean, it's very seldom I go back to an old game, but there are a handful, like Kingdom Hearts, right? Like, I've played all the major Kingdom Hearts games at least 3 to 4 times each, like on different, every
There's
time they've
no
done a
way.
remaster.
Are you?
No,
for
I
re-
have, yeah.
I don't believe you.
Like on PS2, right? Played them all, original release
Don't believe this
PS2.
boy.
And I played the final mixes, right? The 1.5 and 2.5. And I've played 3. I've only played 3 twice, but like I've at least played 3 twice.
She's in
That's
shock
I
right now.
no way. You started from a new save and you played 3 twice.
Yeah.
When did this
'Cause
happen?
you have to do the proud mode play when it came out.
No, wait a minute. Are you counting getting the trophy for like proud mode?
Yeah,
I guess that does
that's
count.
Playing through. That's playing through it again.
But that's like you're playing
I'm
it
not
like
saying
almost
I'm, like-
immediately.
I mean, sure, but it's.
Okay.
I'd say for me, it's like the level of if I do go back, like there are things where I've even bought remasters with the intention I'll play it at some point. I just haven't gone back. Like in particular, Final Fantasy 12. I have that. I have the Zodiac Age. I have yet to really go back and play through it. Like I've started it, but I've never like actually done a whole playthrough of it because I remember when I played it originally on PS2, it was this kind of like broken playthrough where I like played half of it, stopped playing for like a year, went back and like finished it, but I kind of just like rushed through to the end, didn't do a lot of the extra stuff just because I wanted to see what the ending was. And so for me, I kind of feel like besides those facts, like it's very not often I go back to something, whether or not, right, I finished it and maybe I just buy just to support it, right? It's like, oh, I love the original release. Let me support the publisher developer by just buying the remaster. Sure. Not saying I'm going to play it right now, but I want to have a copy too, especially if it's an old game, right? Just for, preservation's sake. And then on the flip side, it's something like, well, if I was turned off by it and I stopped playing it, odds are even a remaster probably wouldn't convince me to go back. Like I played the Crash Insane trilogy, right? Like I bought that and never played the original Crash games on PS1, but I played through the trilogy, and my God, are those games very difficult, even in the remake.
Yeah.
And I did not finish it, right? Like I stopped the Insane trilogy. I did play through Crash 4, and that was a lot easier, and I had a good time because it was an easier game. But the remasters did not do it any justice.
That's funny.
And because, they and that's because they were true to their word, right? Like these were the original games and how they're designed. So respect for them not making it any easier, because I can fully understand wanting to get the same experience. But on that note, and maybe this is to Matt's sadness, but I did want to bring it up because I felt like this is pertinent. Hi-Fi Rush that was recently finally made it off Xbox platform. Honestly, Matt, I dropped it. I don't think I'm gonna go back to it. I think
that's sad.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like I got to that point where I'm like, I'm just not enjoying it, and usually it takes a lot to get me to stop playing a game. Like, right, like I typically want to see something through to the credits to like get that full experience to really know, have that critique, right? Because I feel like unless you get to the credits, it's harder to say your opinion's still valid, but you don't really get the whole perspective.
Sure.
But for me, as far as I've gotten in Hi-Fi Rush, it just was not hitting for me. And I think it came down to the music. It's just, a
Really?
game
Okay.
that's
Just didn't
so
connect with you,
music
the music.
focused. Yeah, it just isn't my like type of music, and so that's kind of
Okay.
hard to get
I think
around
that's
if
fair, though.
music's kind of a focal point.
Because that's really important for a game like Hi-Fi Rush. So if you don't like the
Yeah.
music, I mean, I think that's very, very understandable. But to your point, Alex, I think I totally relate with what you were saying about replaying games, and I think for me that's just true in general. I'm not sure if I brought this up in the past or not on the pod, but like I hardly ever replay games, rewatch movies, rewatch TV shows. It just doesn't happen that often. It can happen seldomly, like Alex said, but for me, it just is not common. It typically only happens if it's like something I really, really enjoyed, like Pokemon Yellow. I've probably played like 5 times or something. I don't even know. But like in general, like it does not happen. And then maybe there's an excuse because there's a trilogy coming up and you want to rewatch. But even then, I don't typically do that. And to me, I think it's just like I've experienced it once, and I feel like I should be experiencing other new things rather than experiencing the same thing I'd already experienced, because I already know what my overall general consensus is on it, and I don't really get anything out of doing it again. And if I don't like it as much, that would probably suck, because I really enjoyed my memories of that game or movie or whatever. But yeah,
Dang, that's
so that's
really
very. I
Alex.
feel like that's very different than like Matt's answer and probably Tiffany's answer. But that's just like how I typically approach re-experiencing things.
I love rewatching movies, and like I love making, okay, I don't want to say making, but I love being there when I am like, oh my god, this was such a good movie, you need to watch this movie, and
That
like
I like.
watching it with them.
That I like.
And
Yeah,
like
yeah, sure.
I love that. I think for me, it's just a time issue. Like I rarely replay video games too. I did replay Kingdom Hearts. Listen, when Alex was like, yeah, I replayed these games, I'm like, okay, playing the game and then replaying the game again immediately in order to get a trophy is not the same as Matt rebuying a remaster 10 years down the line.
Because you're not
and
really
then playing
revisiting
again.
it, right? Like you're just,
Yeah.
it's part of the experience that you
I
had.
am. I'm revisiting it from 5 days ago.
Oh my
And I'm about
god.
to get I'm about to boot up Kingdom Hearts 1 right now.
I know.
And get
Matt
the
is
Ultimate
literally
Sword
like-
for the 4th
Matt's like-
time of my life.
Yeah, he's like, any homies
Level
in the
1 critical mode playthrough. Let's go.
He's like, any homies in the audience that also replay that game from 5 years ago? Oh, just me? Okay. Like,
Yeah.
But I honestly love like fanatics of certain things. Like I love people
Yeah.
that can recite every line of a song or every line of a movie. Like I can never do that because I don't like experience it over and over again. But I love that other people can do that because it like really
Thank you.
adds
They just
to
have
like
eidetic memories.
yeah.
Yasser.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I rewatched Infinity War and like literally saw it. I've gone to the theater actually multiple times to watch a movie that I loved so much. But yeah, in terms of like other media, it's been unfortunate where I just don't have the time. Like it's hard to replay a game because it takes so much time. TV shows is a whole nother barrier. I have like all this intent to like rewatch a TV show, and it just like, oh my god, it's 10 seasons. Like I just like, when do I even have time? Or you know what I mean? Like it's just like
it's a lot.
And I've even like I literally have box sets. I have the box set of Parks and Rec. I got it on like Black
When
Friday.
are we going to rewatch Supernatural?
I think. Are you actually offering, Alex?
Hell no. I'm
Yes,
never
that's-
rewatching Supernatural.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's dead to me now.
What about
It's done and
what if it's
dusted.
what if I'm on death's door
Oh
and
my
all I
gosh.
want is to rewatch
What a hypothetical.
I
couple
hope-
episodes.
Wow.
Of
I hope your
Supernatural.
final wish is not to rewatch Supernatural.
It's to rewatch the musical episode of Supernatural when they go to the alternate reality in a high school where they know that they're a real book series. That's the one. That's the episode.
Also,
Alex.
you definitely don't want to rewatch it because the first like 5 seasons are all actually scary.
Yeah, I know. I'd be like, I can't watch this by myself. Anyway, yeah. So Yasser, I think that when I rewatch movies, I rarely change my mind. Deadpool seems to be a little bit of an exception. Like, I think I did like Deadpool 2 better than Deadpool 1, so like that didn't really change too much. But like when I pop a movie on, I know I'm watching it because I think it's a banger.
Yeah, I'm
And
with
I
you there
finish
too.
it, and I finish it, and I'm like, it's still a banger. Like,
I want to just shout out one of the most like active fan bases out there, the Sly
Please do.
Cooper subreddit, which is
Really?
38,000 strong,
Nice.
and I am one of them.
3,000?
30.
38,000.
Oh, 38,000. That's a lot.
yeah.
That is a lot. Because
For a
we are
dedicated
just sickos out there. Like, we are waiting for Sly 5,
We-
right? Because they released
part of
Sly
them.
Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus on the PS5. This
Yeah.
is the only way to play it on PS5 outside of a PS Plus premium whatever, where you can
Yeah.
stream it. But you
Yeah.
can own it for $10 now on PS4 and PS5, which is a big news. And, like, people have been asking for this for a long time. So there was a post that was like, guys, you can rate things on PSN, so go give it a 5-star and rate this
A
thing.
1 star.
No, it is at a 4.95 with 9.8 thousand reviews, and every
Holy.
person in that
Wait,
subreddit, they would post their platinum because they're like, your review only counts in my heart if you get the platinum, because PlayStation will pull these reviews and see how far you did it. So he's like, everybody, you have to get the platinum and then give it 5
Oh my
stars because
God.
we need
You guys
Sly
are
2 and
sickos.
Sly
What
3.
the
Yeah,
heck?
it sounds like 29,000 of you are slacking there. Only 9,000 reviews. You got
That-
29,000 more
so
to go.
they released a bunch of the other like PS2 era games, and they're at like 1,000 reviews. It is like, it's crazy the difference between these, and I am just like, this is my community. Like,
Yeah, this is
Like
like,
one
I
of
kind
us.
of I
One of
love
like
us.
Sly
that
Cooper
for
is
you.
my icon in PSN,
Yeah.
and like, it's not just there because it's like one of the default ones. It's like, that is my PlayStation character. Like, that is the game that I love.
I
And
identify as Sly.
I like, as soon as I don't care what is coming out. When Sly 2 and Sly 3 get released on a PlayStation 5,
Alex is
I
in
am
tears.
buying them immediately and platinuming it. And it was so,
So,
good.
yeah.
So good.
I never played the originals, but I bought the remaster on PS3 when they came out. You know, at this point, it was like 10 or 12 years ago. And I platted all 3 of those
Whoa.
within 4 days.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, I mean, these are short games, right? Like PS2
Oh.
era platformers aren't super long.
Okay. Oh, it's a platform.
But I remember, yeah, platformer. I remember having a great time. Like, honestly, it is one of those like franchises I feel like lives on kind of in the breath of life that is like Sackboy and now Astrobot. So, Matt, I don't want to be the Debbie Downer here. I'm not sure what the odds are of Sly having a renaissance and returning to the forefront. But you know, it would be great to see, right? Like that kind of era of those games, because I feel like the taste has not changed at all, right, for those types of games.
So, these are absolute sickos. Let me tell you this is crazy. It's like one of the like my most active subreddits that I'm on. Like, I'm on.
He's an active poster.
I
He's
am.
participating. He's
I don't
commenting.
post, but I support everyone.
He's
so
a
basically,
lurker. He's an active lurker.
Yeah.
somebody, I forget where it was at. It might have been Summer Games Fest. It might have been something right after that. But basically, this guy works at a restaurant, and he ran into some Sony executives, and he
Oh my
took a
God.
picture of them and posted on the subreddit, and he listed their conversation, and he basically was like, "Hey, nice to meet you. Did you see how many reviews we've done of Sly Cooper?" And this guy was like, "Yeah, we've actually noticed.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens." But it's like, they've hinted at Sly 2 and Sly 3 happening. But like, these people are awesome. Like, the thing about it is that I love about people that are super nostalgic about games of our childhood is like, people are just like passionate about it. They love,
Yeah.
they're like making merch, unofficial merch for these characters from literal 20 years ago. And it's because like all of us have different stories. Like, I remember I lost my childhood dog. Like, we had to like put him down, and it was like a way to cope was playing through Sly Cooper. And it's like, man, that game is so important to me. It's probably like one of my favorite games of all time. Like it's like always going to be a special thing. So for me replaying it, like, yes, the camera, not great. Like not fantastic game in 2024. Sly 2 and Sly 3 really updated and changed things. So I can't wait to see what they do with that. But it's like, man, you just can't get rid of that, like, warm and fuzzies, that you felt long ago. So some good stuff.
Yeah,
Love it.
I love when fan bases are passionate like that for sure.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
and to Matt and Alex's point, I think I do find remasters as a good way to approach something that I didn't like in the past. Like, for example,
Okay.
if Kingdom Hearts were to make remasters, like proper remasters that
Well,
modernize,
right.
they're not going
Yeah.
to. But I'm just saying, if
Yeah.
they were to, that would like change my point of view as to like whether or not I should play the games. I feel like I would be much more approachable to them if they were to do that. For example, they recently re-released everything on Steam, all the Kingdom Hearts games, and people were just hoping, just out of like nowhere, that they were gonna do something as far as like updating the games to make them somewhat more modern, and that's typically easier on PC because you can just remove some of the restrictions as far as frame rate, etc. They literally did none of that. But during that time when people were like wondering about it, like it did make me think, oh, maybe I should just buy it on Steam. But considering they did nothing, I didn't buy it. But I do think remasters are a great way for me to like want to consider playing a game that I just didn't really vibe with when I tried it on the older version. And I think Dead Space is another good example of that, where I didn't like really playing through the original Dead Space. Not that I really got through very far. It just felt very dated when I tried to start it. But I totally intend to be playing it around Halloween time this year with the remaster.
Ooh, nice.
And I'm looking forward to that.
Cool.
All right.
Thanks,
Well,
Tiffany.
is there anything else? Is there anything else you guys want to bring up before I move on to the final segment?
Go for it.
We're
All
ready.
right. Well, as you guys know, I like to end these episodes with a recommendation from each of my co-hosts, for you, the listeners. Today's prompt, and
Today's
I won't start
prompt.
with you
Oh my
this time,
gosh.
Matt. I won't
Okay,
start with
good.
you this time. I know last time it put you quite on the spot. So we're going to go in reverse order with Yasser. I'm starting with you.
Uh-huh.
The prompt is, in the theme of this episode, what is something in your opinion that, has not changed, right? That your taste has not changed. That's something you would consider as timeless. So kind of like a timeless enjoyment of yours.
That's a good
Okay.
question. For some
Oh.
reason,
And I can vamp here, give you some time to think about it.
no,
Yeah.
I feel like the first thing that came
sure,
to
go ahead.
mind, it might be because Matt brought up NCAA football. I'm not sure. But I feel like the first thing that came to mind was just Madden football for me.
Nice.
Because it's just
Okay.
one of those games where Matt kind of alluded to it with NCAA, but Madden has not changed. Like if you've played one of them, you've played all of them. But I think
Rest in peace, John Madden.
rest in peace, John Madden, for sure.
Rest in peace.
But there's just something about Madden football where if you ask any like big Madden fan, they completely acknowledge that the game has been stagnant for like a decade plus now, and they still buy it consistently just because there's just a a certain like sweet spot about like right when the season's starting, a Madden releases like a month beforehand, you get hyped for the football season, and so you just like you convince yourself after months of saying I'm not going to buy this game that you just buy it on release, and then you just enjoy it for like hours throughout the season. So I would say Madden football for me.
So I have a question, and this is something because I don't necessarily keep up super closely with sports
Yeah.
games. When there are trades during the season,
Yeah.
do they update that year's Madden with those like team updates?
Thankfully, they do
Whoa.
at least
They
do
do?
the bare minimum of the like from release all the way to the end of the season. They kind of consider it like a live service game where they're continually
Oh.
updating like game modes and what players are available in like different game modes. And when trades happen, they update the rosters appropriately. When people get better, they update their ratings. When they end up sucking, they they completely tank their ratings. So they at
Dang,
least do
that's
that
cool.
throughout the year, which is cool. But they could easily do this on just like a continuing basis and then just do like a battle pass for the next year or something. I don't know why they haven't transitioned to that. Probably just because they're making way too much money just selling a new game every year. But either way,
You know that they have to update that cutscene of them running down into the field.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that
And-
small update. They can't just patch that in.
and right when you boot up the game, there's like 4 different cutscenes that you also can't skip while it's like initializing everything. You gotta appreciate it sometimes.
And they've got to
you gotta
curse
get
a
hit with
new
that
player
EA
every year.
Sports.
Also true
Yeah.
too. Don't ever want to be the cover athlete. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever money they're giving you, it's not worth it. You're gonna get some sort of crazy injury. I'm sorry.
Whoa, is that really what happens?
It's a Madden curse. Yeah.
The Madden curse.
Oh dang,
It happens.
dang.
All right, Tiffany. What is your timeless recommendation
Can-
for our listeners?
You need more time?
I actually, can I take a moment?
Oh, sure. You're calling audible, Matt.
Yeah.
Are
I'm
you,
ready.
are you
I'm ready.
up?
I'm ready.
He's gonna just say Sly Cooper. No.
That's right. Sly Cooper
mean,
and the Thievius Raccoonus now available
I
on
was gonna
PlayStation 5.
I was gonna start with Matt and just be like, Matt, I already got your answer for this. Part of the reason why I came up with this question. It's Sly. All right, moving on.
So another one that I would recommend, especially it might have passed now because summer's about over. Find a local theater that plays this in the theater, which is Jaws. Like one of the most classic movies of all time. I watched it for the first time in theaters this past July 4th, like right before July 4th. It was awesome. Like the local independent theater was packed to the brim. Like I was literally in a fold-out chair in the back. Like it was the craziest I've ever seen this theater, and it was electric. Like there was a person that was dressed like a Sharknado. Like they were dressed like a shark and then had like stuff around. Like people were crazy for Jaws, and it was so much fun. Like I've seen this.
Matt thought the Sly
handful of
Cooper subreddit pops off. You haven't
Jaws.
seen the Jaws subreddit.
I'm sure it's popping. But it's one of those movies where it's just timeless. Like every part about it, like from how it's shot to how it sounds to the like to what this enemy is and how it's lurking in the shadows of the depths. Like it is tension in a movie, and it brought that to like the forefront of cinema, and it hasn't let go. And it's been like 50 years since it came out, and it still hits. Like it is such a good movie. So I don't know. I saw that and I was like, this might be my best movie experience this year. Like this is just so good. So good.
All right, that's it.
Nice.
I'm buying a shark suit, and I'm gonna watch Jaws for the first time in my life. I'm ready for it.
First
It should be that. When you say shark suit, the only thing I think of is like when
Katy
I think it was
Perry?
during the Katy Perry's half.
And there was left
Base
shark.
shark.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, the little shark dudes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be doing the
They
dance
sell,
while I
they
watch
sell
it.
alcohol at this movie theater, so she was like on her like 5th cup of wine, and she was just like
She was
spinning
embodying
around.
the Sharknado.
Yeah.
She was a Sharknado, so she was like
Yeah.
spinning around, going up and down the aisle, and it was like, this lady needs help getting home, but she's hilarious.
All
Okay.
right. Great rec. All right,
Okay.
Tiffany, you ready?
Yeah, I think so. So
You reach down deep.
in my heart, I knew it had to be. Okay, I told you guys I'm a Disney adult, Kingdom Hearts all
Here
the
we
way,
go.
right? It's a Pixar movie,
Nice.
and I have to recommend wholeheartedly the movie, one of my favorite Pixar movies, Disney movies of all time.
The Good Dinosaur.
No, it's Coco.
Oh, I love Coco.
The movie Coco.
Yeah,
I
love
love Coco. I literally
Love it.
will watch. I'm like almost tearing up like thinking about Coco, but when I watch Coco, I just cry so much, and it's horrible. Like it's like towards the end, it's just so moving to
Yeah.
me, and like the music is so good. I remember I went to the theater. I saw it in theaters with my mom. I brought her, and I just started bawling at the end. And literally my mom was like, "Why are you crying? This is a happy movie." And I was like, "No, it is not.
It's about death.
Mother." Yeah, like literally like just seeing Mama Coco like, forget, and like it was just reminding me of my own grandmother. I was like,
But
how
then
did my
remember.
like
She remembered.
well, I mean, she ended up remembering, but not until the moment where I didn't think she
Spoilers.
would. Yeah, that's for true. But yeah, like that movie is just so
Spoilers,
wonderful.
we all die in the end. Okay. moving on.
Yeah.
That's a huge spoiler, Alex.
I'm trying to talk about my love for Coco, and y'all are making jokes on the side. But I think that movie is just wonderful. And even, like, I'm not Mexican. I don't know anything about Dia de los Muertos, but, like, learning about it through that and, like, knowing about how important family is. And it's just such a beautiful movie. I will watch that until I'm 90 years old.
So many Pixar
Yeah.
movies to me are timeless. I feel the
Yeah,
same way.
I would agree. I felt like it was a cop-out to be like, all Pixar movies. Just like that time where Alex was like, all Japanese RPGs.
Yeah.
So
And
I wanted
even
to
with
pick...
all of them,
Well, no, that was
like his
for
number
that
2.
year, though.
Yeah.
For that year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I wanted to pick one movie that I agree with my whole heart that everyone should watch and love, and I love it. And
Maybe
if
he'll
you...
make a return again this year.
All right, Alex. What's your
You know where I
answer?
watched Coco for the first time, Tiffany?
Where did you watch it?
On a plane. And I
Oh.
blubbered on a plane. And I was a middle seat. And on the other side, I'm just like,
God. Oh man, I'm actually really happy that I did go to the theater, like, with my mom. Like,
oh, it's so
I mean,
good.
it was a wonderful time.
Yeah.
I also slapped her when I was like,
Slapped her.
he's the dad. Well,
Oh,
I
like on her arm.
Yeah, I slapped her on the arm, and be like, oh, he's the dad, and she's like, what? And then, like, it happened, and then she's like, oh, you were right. And I was like, yeah, because foreshadowing. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, beautiful movie.
Well, everyone's like trying to shush you around you.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. I went on a matinee. No one was there but me. And my mom.
Okay, good.
So I could just cry, free wheeling and dealing. Alex, you have a wreck? A timeless wreck?
Well, normally I don't participate in this. This is a question for you guys,
Oh
but
my gosh.
I'll entertain
you
the
gotta-
question.
You gotta
this time.
participate.
Yeah.
Come
You guys put
on.
me on the spot. I mean, last time I didn't give an answer,
wow.
so I was
I'm-
just trying to prompt you guys.
I'm upset that we didn't force you to answer that,
but-
but okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is my segment. I'm the host here.
That's true.
I'm asking the questions. But no, I have one, and it's something that it's very simple because I think back on, watching people play this, playing it myself, playing it with the friends, just kind of thinking back to the experience. And for me, a timeless joy that I have is Mario Party.
Oh.
Hell
And
yeah.
obviously not every Mario Party is great, right? Like right, the array of mini games that are present in each Mario Party varies, and so there's not usually one that really is the best, or especially recently, well, not the most recent ones, but there was a stint where they were not great at all, period, just because of some design changes. But hopefully, with the new one coming out later this year, maybe they're returning back to that great form, right? They are kind of embracing what I want to see Nintendo do in the weird kind of online space that they kind of started with Super Mario Wonder, in that there's the 20-person like online mode.
Yeah.
It's like,
I love that.
wow, how is
Yeah.
that gonna?
Yeah.
How is Mario Party with 20 people gonna pan out? I don't know, but I'm excited.
Yeah.
So yeah, just Mario Party is one of those things where I'm like, you don't have to take it too seriously. If you do, you're gonna ruin friendships, right? Like it's not a
true.
competitive game for that perspective. It's just enjoy the time, especially now that we're older, right? Create a party out of it, maybe make some drinking games out of it. You can find ways to get more creative with the joy that's not just the mini game itself,
Absolutely.
but the experience you have with your friends.
Love
playing
that
it,
wreck.
So.
Love it.
Yeah. All right. With that brings us to the end of this episode 99. One episode away from the landmark episode 100.
Almost there.
I just want to also preface with the question: who thought we would make it this far to a numbered episode 100?
I did not.
I did not. Yeah.
Oh.
I didn't.
Oh, I totally did. I'm such an eternal optimist, though.
You're a sicko. We already established that. I'm just kidding.
Can't wait for episode 250, guys. 5 years from now, let's
1,000.
go.
Oh
See
wow,
you
we're
there.
skipping over 200. We're just going to 250. All right.
I love it.
Hopefully we're looking to make that episode a little bit more special for you listeners out there that either have found us new or that have stuck with us since the beginning. So be on the lookout. It'll be slightly different. We'll see. Actually, we kind of don't even know how it'll pan out. So I guess we'll find out when we get to there. but hopefully it's something you guys enjoy listening to. Thank you for sticking with us this whole time. Whether you're new or a returning listener, remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the episode and want to hear more. Thank you to Grandmaster Doug for the theme music, and until next time, take care.
So these are absolute sickos.